In a secluded rural school, children play and interact under the watchful eyes of their headmaster, Mr. Edwards. He introduces a new teacher, Mr. Curtis, to the students, explaining that Mr. Curtis will be taking over from Mr. King, who has left for a personal journey after teaching for a full year. As part of the transition, a girl from the class reads aloud a postcard sent by Mr. King, sharing a final message with the students. Mr. Curtis, eager to make a positive impression, attempts to make the class laugh with a joke, but his efforts fall flat. He quickly shifts gears and begins a lesson on the environment, introducing the topic to the students. Curtis assigns homework, but one of the students points out that they were told by Mr. King they would never have homework again. Annoyed by the comment, Curtis scolds the class, telling them he is now in charge, not Mr. King. He instructs the students to engage in silent reading, while he takes a moment to calm himself with some pills. Later, Curtis seeks out Mr. Edwards to ask for Mr. King's email address, hoping to get in touch with his predecessor. Mr. Edwards explains the unique and close-knit nature of their small school, mentioning that it has faced closure multiple times, but that they are fortunate to have a teacher like Curtis. Curtis attempts to adjust to the rhythm of the small school. During an art lesson, Curtis encourages the students to explore their creativity with painting. Afterward, he sends them out to play while he enjoys a quiet moment with his coffee. However, he discovers small tadpoles in his drink. He calls over Sari, the girl who had brought him the coffee, trying to explain the situation to her. Sari casually mentions that Mr. King once ate a goldfish, adding an unsettling layer to the conversation. Curtis becomes increasingly concerned about Sari because just the previous week, she had pushed a classmate, Simon, face first into a cake with lit candles. As the conversation unfolds, Sari opens up about her deep anxiety regarding climate change, a topic Curtis had asked the students to read about. She tearfully confesses that she is terrified of the world ending. Later, Mr. Edwards pulls Curtis aside for a serious conversation, expressing concern about his well-being. Curtis admits that the heavy workload has left him feeling exhausted, which led him to seek a quieter, less demanding life in a smaller school. However, Mr. Edwards also informs Curtis that Sari has made an accusation against him. Curtis vehemently denies any wrongdoing, insisting that nothing inappropriate happened. Mr. Edwards reassures Curtis that he has managed to convince the parents not to pursue a formal complaint, but he emphasizes the importance of addressing such issues within the tight-knit school community. Edward informs Curtis that Sari has provided a detailed account of the events, and he would like to verify whether the facts she has described are accurate. With little alternative, Curtis reluctantly agrees to allow Edward to take certain photos to verify the facts. Later, Curtis is distributing tests to the students. However, Sari is notably absent from the class, and the atmosphere quickly becomes chaotic. Frustrated, Curtis tries to regain control, but the students continue to act out. Just then, Edward enters the room, accompanied by Sari. Edward informs Curtis that there is a significant discrepancy between the facts presented by Sari and the actual events, and that no further investigation is necessary. After the class, Curtis notices a small drawing on a student's paper, an image of a student holding hands with someone resembling Mr. King. Intrigued, Curtis retrieves the postcard that Mr. King had sent and approaches Winnie, the school's cleaner, to inquire about Mr. King's relationship with the children. Winnie responds fondly, explaining that Mr. King had been incredibly popular with the students, almost like a star among them. Curtis asks Winnie for the keys to Edward's office, which she happily provides. Upon entering the office, Curtis begins to search through the space. In one of the drawers, he discovers a folder labeled King. To his shock, the folder contains compromising photographs. Disturbed by his findings, Curtis calls Edward to report that the school has no record of Mr. King ever being employed there, with the previous teacher listed as Mr. Hardy. Edward, however, struggles to hear Curtis clearly and assures him that he will come to meet him in person. Curtis enters his classroom, where the students eagerly prepare to rehearse for the upcoming assembly. To his surprise, the students have decided to present a piece on climate change, a topic that both amuses and intrigues him. However, as the rehearsal progresses, Curtis suddenly finds that he has been superglued to his chair. The students, in their passionate determination, explain that Curtis is meant to be a part of their protest. They reference ancient rituals explaining how, in the 15th century, children in Peru were believed to be sacrificed to the gods to prevent natural disasters. The students, now in character, refer to him as Mr. King, and as part of their performance, superglue his lips shut. The students, now dressed in masks, begin their ritual with solemn intent. Edward enters just in time to stop them, revealing that he too is a part of the ceremony. He calmly explains that last year, it was the previous teacher, Mr. Hardy, who was crowned the Corn King. This year, however, the crown is passed to Curtis. Edward clarifies that Curtis has been chosen for this role as a symbol of the natural balance and the community's ancient traditions. Curtis watches in increasing horror as the students proceed with their ritual, placing a mask on his face. Winnie enters the room, donned in an elaborate costume. The episode ends as Edward steps forward, guiding Curtis toward the unknown. As they move toward the ritual's conclusion, Winnie and the students begin singing an eerie song. Please like and subscribe the channel for more videos like these.